So, like we said, a little bit of a change up. Our top 5 usually is at the very beginning of the episode. Today, we're going to do the top 5 is actually right here as an easy transition from a very politically loaded section, right? So, top 5 is going to be New Year's related. Obviously, this is our first podcast of the year 2021. So it's resolutionary.
Wow.
I
love it.
Now, you know what? They can be resolutionary because they change their life. This is going to be our personal resolutions. Zino, if you want to let me know if you want to lose some weight, I'm not gonna lie. I want to lose some weight. I always tell people I got a sexy personality. I just need my body to catch up. So maybe lose a couple pounds, maybe 20, 25, or whatever.
I don't want to lose weight. I want to tone up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Beach body. Beach.
So our top 5 is going to be basically resolutions. Top 5 resolutions. I'm going to be driving this. So basically, I'm basically, I guess, telling you what my 5 resolutions are, and I'm asking you to sound off on them, right? But not really. So I'm going to ask Zino a few questions on certain things that I think are top priorities. 2 of them are going to be political. One of them is going to be about our podcast specifically. And then one other one's going to be sports. And then after that, it's going to be basically
personal.
Post-COVID, actually.
Post-COVID.
A post-COVID world. So, number 1, considering the fact that obviously now, as we acknowledged this recently, Donald Trump has acknowledged that he lost, he conceded. He's committed to a peaceful transition. Obviously, that leads into the 46th president being Joe Biden. What issue or what do you want? And I guess this would be Joe Biden's resolution. What do you think that in the first 100 days, what do you want to see the Joe Biden administration accomplish or do?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first 100 days undoubtedly has to have a big focus on COVID. I mean, it's one of the biggest things that's happened to this country in over a century. So some sort of, first of all, the COVID relief thing, right? We talked about like the money for the people, but it needs to be something that also brings long-term relief. So not necessarily money-wise, but how do we like clamp down on this problem? Is it more lockdowns? Is it? I wouldn't know. And that's the thing. It's an unenviable position, but you at least want someone that wants to try to do the job, as opposed to just trying to act like the job isn't there to be done. So anyways, some sort of COVID relief, money and like actual, handling the disease. And then the other thing is another big thing that I want them to focus on is, you know what? I think a voting rights act. I think they need to actually take up the Voting Rights Act finally, like extend it and make it permanent. Exactly. The fact that it expires is ridiculous. I think they need to go ahead and do that because they need to first of all show up for the people that got them there, which is the generally disenfranchised people, and you'd be like, hey, we appreciate your vote, and we're going to make it so that you never have to struggle to vote again. I think that's an easy, quick win that they can do. So those are the 2 things that come to mind.
So I'm going to say off the cuff probably 3 things. Number 1, I was never really, I guess, I'm not going to say care, because I've always cared about education because I'm a college graduate. I'm hoping to start law school one day. I love learning, read, as you can see back here, I read a lot, a lot of them are fiction. I realize that, like, overwhelmingly fiction. So I got to build my nonfiction section up a little bit, even though someone did, I remember reading somewhere that the best way to get more intelligent is actually reading fiction, like good fiction or whatever. But education is an important thing. So along with Trump conceding, Betsy DeVos has resigned. I guess she wants to. I guess she doesn't want to get fired by by the Biden administration.
Second cabinet member to resign. We didn't touch it in the show, but Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife and the transportation secretary, she also resigned.
I real quickly, I do think with her, she sucked about her safety, but I also think it's a big F you. You talked crap about my husband, so I'm out. She's not Conway, who's,
I think, I'm sorry, I know we're talking about education.
Yeah, no.
Just real quick, I think it's two things, right? I think it's one thing. I think they want to make it seem like it's a moral thing, like, oh, what happened was so terrible, and I can't, be a part of this administration anymore. Completely ignoring all the other stuff the administration's done. That's what they want to tell us it is. What I think it really is that if the 25th Amendment is actually, triggered, where because 25th Amendment comes in multiple different ways. It's one, if a president becomes incapacitated, like he gets shot or killed or whatever, 25th Amendment provides for the vice president to take up for him. The other part of the 25th Amendment is if the president is rendered unfit for office, doing things that are dangerous to the country or to the office, then the vice president can convene the Joint Chiefs, and if a majority of the Joint Chiefs agree that the president needs to be removed, then he'll be removed. Well, part of the Joint Chiefs are the cabinet members, Chow and DeVos, and I don't think they want to be part of that vote.
Oh, gotcha.
Because if they vote to remove, then the MAGA folks who are like really violent could come after them. Yeah. If they don't vote to remove, that stays with them forever and ever. So I think that's the main part of it. They don't want to have to hold them accountable.
That's actually very insightful.
Insightful.
Thank you. Jeez, I know words. Okay, I just don't know how to say it. So going back to Diva, I really hope that within the first 100 days. Because have they tapped anybody for the Department of Education yet?
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about the Department of Education being tapped. So I hope at least they put somebody who respects education.
Yeah.
Right.
Elizabeth Warren would have been a good one, but again, they've got a Republican governor in Massachusetts. I don't think they want.
And they don't want. Yeah, they don't have her replaced with a Republican. So that's one thing. Honestly, for me, one of the big things is, as I asked Zino earlier, are the Democrats going to finally show that, hey, they are the People's Party, they're for the people, right? One of the big things that would be, even though it was started during the Obama administration, it was intensified under the Trump administration, which is those cages at the border. Honestly, now is the time to do immigration reform. Mm-hmm. To give these people who are at our borders, who are in cages, the people who are living here undocumented, right? To give them, what's the word I'm looking for?
Path to citizenship, path to legality.
Yeah, well, no, path to citizenship, but basically to provide them with the acknowledgement that, hey, you're human.
You're human.
You're to be treated like human. So I'm hoping that what ends up happening is, one, they eliminate those cages, even though the person who, I think he tapped somebody in his administration who actually started the cages and actually defended the cages. So I hope they end that, they start immigration reform, because just recently, I forgot, did you see it was a governor or something like that basically said undocumented immigrants don't deserve access to the vaccine because they're not supposed to be there, but they handle our food.
What? Wow.
Yeah. So,
real piece of that when you said undocumented, that actually made me also think about the difference in framing, right? Whenever you hear Republicans on, Fox News or anywhere talk about illegal people, they say illegals. Yeah. And the Democrats tend to say undocumented. And it's because illegals gives you more of this, like, oh, they're doing, these are bad people. You know,
and the funny thing to me is, I purposely words matter, even though I personally feel on a personal level we sometimes we allow too much weight on certain words. We give certain words too much power.
too much power.
So on a personal level, I might not care too much. No, I don't want to say care. I understand the framing is what I'm going to say. So that's why I will never say illegal immigrants. They're undocumented immigrants.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually started saying, I've actually told people, to me, they're undocumented Americans. Because a lot of times, a lot of those people are actually more patriotic than actual Americans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they appreciate what they have here.
They help run this country. They're more important sometimes than them.
Yeah.
So
yeah. They appreciate what they have here because they know that they're better off here than where they came from. A lot of people that are coming over with their kids, coming over through really terrible conditions to cross the border and all that stuff, they're not doing it just because it's for s and giggles. They're doing it because what they're leaving is much worse than the conditions they're trying to come through to get to this country.
Yeah. And his name, so it's the Nebraska governor, Pete Ricketts, who said that, who basically, we're not going to prioritize undocumented immigrants because they shouldn't even be here, which is just outright disgusting, right? And shows you the kind of person he is, because I guarantee you, he always looks a blind eye to the CEOs who continue to use these undocumented immigrants. It's probably gets donations from them, if we're being honest. So honestly, immigration reform is something, I know it won't happen in 100 days, but I definitely hope that immigration reform starts getting put at the forefront. It seems that due to COVID, so many things are being put in the back burner, because actually I would have thought in a normal year, we would have had a mass shooting.
Yeah.
We really would have. And Zino has told me in the past that a gun reform is actually one of the big.
I don't even know why I didn't even think of that. Yes, gun law reform.
Honestly, that's the reason why. I even said this. I said this on Twitter. I think that it's incredible. The only reason why we haven't had a mass shooting in the schools is because kids haven't gone to school. Yeah. Kids are living at home. Yeah. So that's or going to school at home, right? It's just that's one of
that's been my biggest thing forever.
It's like, because up until the pandemic hit, we were getting a mass shooting just about every every 30 days we were getting at least one mass shooting.
That's probably right. Yeah.
So anyways, honestly, immigration reform, finally putting somebody who actually appreciates education, and then I'm still gonna say
Medicare for
all.
Saying Medicare for all, but no.
Medicare for all and a Green New Deal. At least put those on a platform to start talking about them, because like who was it? Who's the comedian who he actually just ended up going into rehab? Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. Remember he was talking about his grandma. Yeah, he actually did go to rehab. Yeah, he ended up, I think, alcoholism, if I'm not mistaken. I think he still might be in there, but yeah, it happened. And I listened to his he has a special on Netflix. He's usually someone I wouldn't think is my cup of tea in regards to comedian, but he actually is really quite funny. So if you have a chance to watch any of his Netflix episodes, go ahead. But
I haven't seen any of his. I've seen his monologues on SNL. He's usually pretty good.
Well, the SNL monologue. Remember we talked about what's it called? He was like, "Yeah, my grandma wants to vote." He's like, and then everybody's like, "Hey, you think it's a bad idea too?" He's like, "You can't. You shouldn't be able to order if you're about to check out of the restaurant, right?" Yeah. Look, this isn't going to affect him, right? Mm-hmm. It really is not. He's held 70.
78, but 78 or 76.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be like one of the oldest. I think he's going to be the oldest person ever elected to the president, or to go in as a president.
But here's the thing that's fundamentally different between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Joe Biden and most people, to be honest. Joe Biden he's a senator first and foremost, right? He's of that body, and because he's a senator, he always waxes poetic about having meals such and such, or working
driving taking the train to
the Amtrak, or working with Tip O'Neill in the House. or stuff like that. He's always talking about that stuff in such glowing terms because it matters so strongly to him. And he's a senator first and foremost, and he's a Democrat first and foremost. And even though he knows that he has fewer days ahead of him than behind him, he's someone who really cares about leaving the Democrats better off than when he got in. And because of that, even though he probably won't run for a second term and all that stuff, I think he really wants to put the Democrats in a position where they can be successful for election cycles to come. He's very different from Donald Trump, who was a Republican just because it was convenient, just because that's the party that would take his BS and lead him.
So that actually will lead into my second resolutionary question, because it's resolutionary. The reason I say that is because it's future based, right? Basically, these are top 5 questions that I'm asking you future based.
That's going to be the name of the video.
Resolutionary.
Top 5 resolutionary questions.
So again, and I'm being facetious when I say he's close to checking out, but I would hope he wants to leave a legacy. And honestly, tackling the Green New Deal, or not even the Green New Deal, just climate change in particular, tackling medical flaw, that could leave him a really good legacy if he actually taps into it, which leads into my next question. As far as legacies are concerned, because of the way these last elections have been, right? Which I think there's this shift to Trumpism has been happening. Really, it's been happening since Reaganomics came in, right? Like that whole separation of classes, right? Separation of top percent to the low percent, right? Them. Yeah, and then honestly, George Bush kind of hit it at home more, except his was more nationalistic, where he was like patriots versus non-patriots, and then Trump kind of really fed into it, but just came at it more. It was basically militia patriots versus everybody else. My question is, going forward in the future, what is the direction that you think the Democratic Party and the Republican Party will each be going into? Like, which way do you think either of them go to? I can say that for me, I feel like more progressives will start joining the Democratic Party. I think with Republicans, I really don't 100% know. With Republicans, I'm a little bit more confused because I think right now they're at a crossroads. But you go ahead and maybe if you say something, that'll be able to kind of give me an idea.
I think, first of all, I think progressives are already, and I know, right? I watched TYT and all of that stuff, and I know they like to say that, oh, I'm not actually a Democrat, or I don't. They're Democrats. At the end of
first of all, the young Turks, they're just barely acting like they're progressives. It's like for them, they're conveniently something, right? They became liberals when liberals started becoming cool. And now they're becoming progressives because I don't know. They're the MSNBC of
progressive media.
Progressive media, yeah.
So I don't know. I've only been following them for a few years, but they're always like, well, they'll always kind of get offended when you call them a Democrat. But to be honest, where else would they land? Like yes, I know that there is a wide political spectrum, right? But when you really break it down, there's two sides. There's the Democrats and there's the Republicans. And people always like the two-party system doesn't work. I honestly don't know where you would carve out another party, right? Because wherever you carve out another party, it's always going to carve out from one of those two parties, right?
Yeah, I think the only way that you can actually do another party, which I actually say that a lot of people should start pushing this, is just doing jungle ballots, where it's not the 51 threshold, it's whoever gets.
They do it in Cali, it's like the top 2 voters, they go through to the general election, and the top 2.
So if you literally do that, if somebody decides I'm running as an independent, I'm running as a Republican, I'm running as a Democrat, hey, I'm running as the Libertarian Party, put them all on there, you'll never know. It might a Green Party might be going against a Libertarian, right? So,
but the only reason why we harp on, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, is because it's a lot easier for voters, right? It's a lot like, oh, Democrat, oh, so that means you're for this and you're for that. Even though the candidate himself might not actually be for those things, like a Joe Manchin, for instance. Oh, you're a Democrat. Oh, so you're for Medicare for all. Joe Manchin would be like, no, no, I'm not. but they're not engaged. So all they've seen is, oh, D,
The R,
R,
the D.
So the idea that more progressives join Democrats, I think they're already there. I think it's more of the center of the Democrats. I actually do feel like, and I've told you this before, I do feel like the center will be pulled more to the left as time goes on, because that's where the general population is. As the general population becomes more aware of their fellow man, aware of the plight of their fellow man, and aware of the failings of our system, they realize, hey, maybe it's not so bad to pull away from capitalism a little bit and do a little more for our everyday person. Because their only argument against giving people free healthcare and all that stuff is that it's anti-capitalistic. So you would rather make sure that you can't get a surgery you need on you've cut two fingers. It was from the example from the Michael Moore movie Sicko, where this guy had the accident and he had two fingers cut off. They showed his fingers, right? And he said that he went to the doctor's office and they told him that his insurance will only cover one of them. Which finger do you want to put back? You would rather keep that system than put a system where you can actually keep all of your fingers just because of the word socialism.
Yeah.
That's so I think as more people, sorry, I was just gonna say, as more people get more educated on what it actually means when they say these buzzwords, these scary words, I think the country will start realizing it's actually not all that bad.
Yeah.
And so the Democratic Party will move more and more to the left.
That reminds me of so I saw this on Twitter where they showed the screenshots of, because remember I told you the majority it's been polled, the majority of Americans believe M4A, believe in Green New Deal ish, climate change needs to be tackled, immigration reform, right? Fox News was shocked. Like you could literally see the faces of the people like what the hell? Like 70% of all people polled say they want some form of Medicare for all. They want a form of green, and I agree with you. I think there's going to be a shift. I think with the Democratic Party, there is going to be a little bit of I'm not going to say a power grab. What I think is going to be is Nancy Pelosi had to agree to no longer run again in order to become House Leader. So it's basically letting them know, all right, you want to keep doing this, you're not going to keep doing it though, because you're not going to get a chance to keep doing it. So enjoy these last 2 years, right? I feel like what is going to happen is there's going to be here and there. That's why I said Gwinnett could do progressive. They could run a progressive easily. And that person could go in there and just slowly but surely start giving them.
I'm not so sure Cobb could.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, Cobb's not there yet. I don't think Cobb will be there, to be honest.
Yeah, no. Look, conservatives got to move somewhere. So so they're gonna stay somewhere. Yeah. But little trickles here and there. I mean, in New York, in California, which is a very liberal state. Not progressive, just a very liberal state. They got a mayor who's a member of the Green Party, right? I forget his name. I'll try to look him up. Maybe we'll finally start doing corrections again. But he's a mayor. So like slowly but surely, these kind of
the mayor. You don't mean New York City, right? You mean like in the state?
I'm sorry, I meant California.
Oh, in California.
California.
In LA or like another city?
Probably in a different, hold on one second. Green.
Because LA is Garcetti. I don't know.
Hold on. Oh, there we go. I guess it's in hopefully it'll pop up because it said California. Is it Gale? Ooh. Oh shit. Damn, I gotta stop saying these things without without having them up.
Having them pulled up.
Oh, I know. I found it. His name is Green.
His name is Green?
No. Fuck. We'll figure it out. We'll get it later. But anyways, like slowly but surely, there hopefully will start progressive values start coming in, right? That's where the Democratic Party, I hope, is starting to go. And probably won't see it again because there's not going to be another election this year because we won't see it again until 2022.
Yeah. November.
So maybe in 2022 that's what happened because more progressives were added.
That's a great feeling, man. Not another election for like almost 2 years.
Well, guess what? there's going to already be people polling and doing their not jungle, what's it called? Yeah, ready for the primaries. So look out for those in like probably not April, like November of this year. So we won't even get a full year without seeing ads. But that's where I think the Democratic Party. I think the Republican Party, honestly, after this fiasco with Trump, I think they're going to try to put, if they're smart, they'll push themselves more on their whole conservative values versus the way they push nationalism, the way they push this us against them kind of mentality. Yeah. Hopefully, I think that's where they're going to, because they realize now we can't do cult of personality anymore because now there's a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Yeah, I think 2022 November is going to be really telling as to the direction of the party. They've really like eaten themselves from within with all this Trump debacle and stuff, and with having people like Cruz and Hawley really try to tie their wagon to him. Like they were sending out donation text messages saying that, hey, we're fighting to protect this election. Click here to donate. They were fundraising. That's all this was for them. It was a fundraising ploy, and we could really see from the way Mitt Romney was looking at Hawley, and from the way Mitch McConnell was treating them in like his arguments and all that stuff, that they really don't like those two guys, and people like those two guys, and the 120 something people like that in the House, like Gates and Jordan and Nunes. The party is really split. Not as much in the Senate, but it's really split in the House, and it might be one of those things where a new second party
within the Republican
Party has to come up, like just some heavy rebranding, because they've like really tarnished the normal GOP name with Trumpism, which is hard to say because I thought the GOP was crap anyway. They've really tarnished themselves now, so that's going to be a tough one.
The Democrats would be smart to jump on that and start pushing some of those Republicans like, hey, you need to start moving away from this shit. So maybe vote this way moving forward, some stuff like that.
Like find some bipartisan grounds where they can.
Yeah, like use this to find bipartisan grounds. Like, hey, you remember that one time your whole entire party did this? Well,
I mean,
this voting this way might help you.
I honestly wouldn't trust the likes of Graham and Rand Paul as far as I could throw them.
Oh no.
You mean in the House?
Screw those guys. No, those guys won't be. I'm talking about Republicans who literally
like Tim Scott.
That are they're conservative. They just have conservative values, but they're not over here trying to F over everybody just for the sake of themselves or the party.
I think there are a few like that. Even though I feel like his baseball analogies are a little too, a little too rosy considering the stuff that his party is doing. But like Ben Sass is one of them. I think Tim Scott is one of them. Like he tries really hard to like align himself with the Republican Party, but then he'll come out and say stuff like, what the president said wasn't great, but he's my president, is essentially what he says.
That's my quarterback.
I think someone like that can be swayed. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, so you do have people. Mitt Romney, of course. So you do have people on their side that you can work in a bipartisan way with. But honestly, I'd let them eat themselves. I'd let them figure it out amongst themselves.
I think we both agree they're kind of at a crossroads right now. So,
right, hey, cool. Before we go away from politics, real quick, what do you think about Merrick Garland being tapped as AG, Attorney General? Or did you not see that? Or
I didn't see that. Merrick Garland, refresh me on her.
Merrick Garland is the guy.
I said Merrick Garland. Oh, thank you. The guy who was basically denied the Supreme Court
by Mitch McConnell. Yeah.
Part of me wonders if this is kind of like Biden trying to tell Mitch McConnell, screw you for not approving him.
That's now entirely what it is. That's entirely what it is. He waited till the Georgia runoffs were done, and then he was like, "I'm picking Merrick Garland," and you can't do anything about it, Mitch. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I definitely like it as an FU
To Mitch.
to Mitch McConnell. I don't really know much about his type of politics, the way he goes, and obviously he's a Democrat, right? But I don't know what kind of way he leans or whatever on a lot of things. As far as the Supreme Court is concerned, it's hilarious to me that it's been Trump appointees who have basically told Trump, "You're not going to do what you think you can do."
Yeah,
Like,
just because you put us here doesn't mean that we're gonna
and we don't
forget.
owe you jack squat. So
yeah, we're gonna completely forget everything we learned in law school. So yeah.
Well,
So
the last one, did she really learn much in her law school? Because she
Amy Coney Barrett.
she never did much as an actual attorney or judge. But anyway, so that's number 2.